Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Wang Qi, Chief Investment Officer of UOB Kay Hian. He joins us to discuss trends and evolving needs of retail investors in the APAC region. Qi, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for having us.
You got it. And give us some background on UOB Kay Hian. Tell us more about it.
UOB Hian is a leading Asian financial services firm based in Singapore and listed on the Singapore Stock Exchange. As the name implies, it is a bank-backed brokerage firm backed by the UOB Bank. And our businesses cover a range of services from securities trading, corporate finance, structured products, institutional sales and research, and last but not the least is the business I work for called private wealth management, one of the fastest growing units within our firm. As an Asian firm, our mission has always been to connect Asia with the rest of the world, meaning either raising capital for Asian firms globally or investing clients' money globally for Asian-based clients. And within private wealth management, which is the business I report to, our mission is really to provide value-added, curated insights for our high net worth individuals and family office clients for their wealth protection and growth, which is a very interesting topic in this today's uncertain macro environment. We can certainly talk more about that if you like.
Yes, and we certainly will. Before we get to that, how has the business grown over the years alongside with investors' changing needs in the Southeast Asia and Asian regions?
Oh, fortunately, our business has grown tremendously in the last few years. And as I mentioned, we are a listed company. So a lot of these information is available publicly about our revenue and growth, et cetera. I just want to focus a little bit on the private wealth management business because you mentioned about the retail investors today. We benefited tremendously from several trends in the past. Number one is, I know it may sound a little bit corny, but something called the Asian century, meaning that despite the ups and downs, Asia is rapidly rising in its significance in terms of trade, economy, technology, and finance. And when you talk about Asia, people typically associate that with India and China. But from our perspective, it's beyond that. So these days, we are seeing very interesting opportunities in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Vietnam, in Thailand, all because of the geopolitics, the macro environment, and the technology innovation that's happening around the world. So we are quite bullish on Asia, and we are committed to this part of the world as our business base. And number two is something related to the above is that we are seeing tremendous wealth creation in this part of the world, as you would imagine. And back in old days, the Asian wealth typically come from real estate, agriculture, metals and mining, and low-end manufacturing. And that's what you typically associate Asia with. But, the new regime shows that these things are changing. So increasingly, we are seeing growth in advanced manufacturing, technology, consumer brands, and even cultural-related businesses. So that's an interesting data point. We're seeing growth among companies. We're also seeing the wealth growth out of those areas in Asia. Again, make us very bullish about the Asian century. And third is on the local financial services market. And you guys also an expert on this. You can tell me more about it, which is that the local Asian financial markets are also growing bigger, deeper, and more resilient. Now, we've been through a lot of crises in the past, the infamous Asian crisis in 1997 or 1998. But we have grown out of that. And if you look at the past 10 years, whether it's the COVID or other small crises around the world, Asia turned out to be quite resilient. And part of that reason, which is a hot topic today, is that we are seeing a trend called de-dollarization, which has benefited Asia as well, making Asian markets more interesting from an investment standpoint. So all these three things combined make us positive and optimistic about Asia over the long term.
And with such a dynamic marketplace, what are some of the challenges that you have faced?
Great question. We face challenges every day. So I think, with these opportunities always come with tremendous challenges. Just to be brief, I know that we don't have too much time today, but the investment equation today globally has become more dynamic and more complex by day, given the geopolitics, the technology innovations, and also, don't forget, demographics. So, for example, with AI, one of the challenge that we face is how we can better provide our high-touch brokerage services to our clients, and whether that service is still relevant, because you can see that AI is increasingly replacing human. And then the second issue is with the intricacy and uncertainty surrounding geopolitics, which is, this has just happened in the last few weeks, that how we can provide clients with timely and value-added insights in such a complex environment, and how we can better help them navigate this environment. And when I talk about geopolitics, we all know essentially it comes down to the battle of the giants, the US-China relations. And Asia, I would say, is at the forefront of that. Some countries benefited, but some countries also face challenges, and some countries face both opportunities and challenges at the same time. So it's quite complex. It's not something we can figure out right away, but like I said, we're dedicated to help our clients to navigate this extremely difficult environment. And third is that, with emergency of these new asset classes like cryptos and stable coins, how can we help our clients to, first of all, to understand this trend, and then capture these opportunities while properly managing the volatility and the risk. And this is maybe where Nasdaq coming. I understand Nasdaq may have some solutions for us there in terms of technology platforms to help the investor better manage risk and better understand the markets. Certainly, it's relevant for today's discussion.
Yeah, it certainly is. Before we get into that, I want to talk about the retail investor for a moment. And as one of Asia's largest brokerage firms, what are some of the recent trends among retail investors that you've noticed that could potentially have an impact on the future?
Well, another great question. Yes, too much to talk about here, first of all. But it's difficult to generalize, I would say. But from my perspective, one of the big change I'm seeing is really the rapid growth in the so-called online trading and digital platforms. I came from a very strong institutional background from Wall Street. So when I joined the business about 28 years ago, the access to financial information is quite limited. The access to trading was quite limited. And it was not an easy thing to do for people just to look up information, do analysis, and trade stocks. But today, as we all know, a number of our competitors have pioneered online trading, online information, online research, and all these things that made it really easy for mom and pops to adopt trading. Anyway, so that's a big change. And then on the other hand, we also have uh, a younger generation. I won't say exactly young generation, but I would say people about my age or younger. A relatively young generations of people, they're digital natives. They've grown up with the internet, they grew up with mobile phones and mobile technologies, and they just embrace this online trading really easy. So that's a big change, and that presents both opportunities and challenges for us. I think overall it's a great thing that the industry is offering people low touch and high efficiency online trading services. But I think there's still a catch because investing involving risks, especially if, like I said, in today's dynamic environment where the risks are so hard to predict. So I don't think these low touch, pure online, low cost, do as you wish services are necessarily good. Certainly have merits, as I mentioned. It's a positive change overall if you know what you're doing. So from my perspective, as we see this trend, we identify ourselves as some firm that continue to offer high touch services to certain clients, along with the online trading service, along with the convenience of the web and all these new technologies. So I think there's certainly a merit to that. You can think of us the business as a beach. There's a section of the beach where everyone can just go without lifeguards, and people love to go there because it's free and it's easy to access. But we continue to maintain this section of the beach where we carefully safeguard our clients' assets. And I think, again, in the new paradigm we're living today, when risks are so complex and unpredictable, there's a value for our services where we can help retail and high net worth investors with fiduciary services, not just the convenience of online trading.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Same timeline as you, starting off in institutional equity trading on Wall Street. And it's fascinating to me, starting in the mid to late 90s and, still trading in paper and fractions, just what's available for, retail investors these days. But I do agree with you. The safeguards are certainly something that need to be considered. So when we think about future outlook, what are some of the key focuses that UOB Kay Hian is looking into 2026 and years to come?
So one of our slogan is that at UOB Kay Hian, we want to be more than just your broker. Our job is to protect and grow your wealth over time in today's complex and fast changing environment. So that definitely will be a key focus, as I mentioned. So how do we do that? One thing is that we must raise the quality of our research, our advice, and also our portfolio management services. That's the business I'm in charge of as CIO at UOB Kay here. And then how do we define quality? I think the research or the advice need to be clear, need to be simple. I think today the market is already filled with a lot of noise. There's a lot of social media even talk about markets. So we certainly don't want to make things more complicated. So the clarity is important, the simplicity is important, and it needs to be grounded in solid research. And we're quite serious about research, in fact. And the last two things is about the timeliness and also about actionable. So all these ideas needs to be actionable. At the end of the day, people come to us to execute trades. People here come to us to make money. So I think all these things eventually need to be translated into some kind of actionable ideas. So that's our business in a nutshell. That's our focus in a nutshell. And it interestingly, as I mentioned, in addition to the traditional financial services we provide to clients, whatever insight we provide, I think some of our clients also apply to their businesses, to their family life, or to other aspects of their personal lives. I'll give you one example. We have been written a lot about AI. I think this implications of AI go well beyond investing. So a lot of the people actually came to us, not just for investment advice on AI, but also maybe on business advice, and maybe on career advice, and maybe on the career advice of their children when they're still studying in college. I think there's some huge ramifications on that from the AI innovation. Of course, it's not easy for us to answer all of these questions, but you can see that people trust us with that kind of advice. And this is something that we could potentially expand on, not just as a financial services provider, but also as a company that serious about investing, serious about insights that can help our clients.
And finally, Qi, tell us about your collaboration with Nasdaq and why you have chosen to partner with us.
Thank you. Yes, it is absolutely a pleasure to work with Nasdaq, and consistent with what I said about serious about investing. Nasdaq, first of all, is a great brand. There are very few brands around the world can entice any kind of emotional value. I think Nasdaq has done it. I'm not sure about you, but when I think about Nasdaq, it reminds me of innovation. It reminds me of growth. I think it reminds me of some of the best, most innovative, fastest growing companies around the world. I think to that end, Nasdaq has done it. So that's on the surface. Below the surface, we really appreciate Nasdaq's data support and data services. So recently, we subscribed to your data services through our Hong Kong office. And then we're also evaluating, looking into your other technology-driven services. And correct me if I'm wrong, whether this is by chance or by design, Nasdaq very much replicate a lot of the innovative things that some of your listed companies do, like in Silicon Valley. So we do appreciate your support and services. For example, the indexing part of your business seems quite interesting to us. As you know, passives has been growing rapidly around the world, and I think today is almost 40% of the US market. And this is something that both us as a firm and also our clients are intensely interested in. So I very much look forward to working more closely with you in the future, and please keep in touch.
All right. Well, we appreciate the partnership and look forward to innovating with you as well. Qi, appreciate your insights, and thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you.